Hey guys, welcome to your bonus video. So in this week 10 we're still covering Dharana and Dhyana, so all to do with our focus, whether it's internal or externally. So I'd love you to find your seat, get yourself ready, let's get into the practice and let's begin. So let's take a nice big breath, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, drop the shoulders down and back, close the eyes. Again, deep breath in through the nose. Deep breath out through the nose. Remembering that Ujjayi breath. Relaxing the shoulders, the knees and the hips. Letting yourself slow right down. Notice the physical body, any areas that might feel imbalanced today. And on your next inhale, let's begin. So take an inhale, reach your arms wide and high, reach up to the ceiling. Exhale, turn to your right side first. As always, we're starting our spinal twist, but I should still mention that. So spinal twist to your right side. Take a nice big breath. Exhale through the nose. Inhale, unwind, take a wide reach up high. Exhale to the left. Remembering that every breath, we're trying to breathe into the diaphragm here. Not just the chest, not just the lungs. Well, it is just the lungs, but further into the belly. Last breath here. And inhale, undo your twist, reach up nice and high. Exhale, lean over to the right side with the right hand, overhead stretch. Feels great. You can close your eyes here or have them open, whatever feels calling to you. Last breath, in through the nose, out through the nose. Inhale, rise up nice and high, really reach tall. Exhale to the left. Maintain your breath, find your focus, notice where you feel the stretch. Last breath in and out. Inhale, rise up nice and tall, reach both hands high. And exhale, bring the hands down through heart center. Feel free to open the eyes if they're closed. And let's make our way over to tabletop. So I'll meet you there. So hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Let's come into a couple of cat-cow poses. So inhale, drop the belly button low, lift the chest and chin. And exhale, lift and round through the back, tuck the chin, really push into the hands. Inhale, drop the belly, release the pelvic floor. Not pushing, just releasing. Exhale, lift the pelvic floor, exhaling into that cat pose. Again, inhale to cow, release. And exhale to cat. Inhale to a neutral spine. Let's come to downward dog. So tuck the toes, lengthen your downward dog hands or feet a little bit, lift the hips high, and feel free to pedal out those legs. Notice any tightnesses throughout the body. Good. We're going to stay mat based today. So what we're going to do, find stillness in the legs. Inhale, rise onto both tippy toes. Exhale, push both heels back down. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, lower the knees slowly to the mat. Use your core here, lift through the belly button. Once the knees are planted, bring those hands back in. We're going to come into frog pose. So I want you to widen your knees off of the mat. Now if you're on a hard floor, I'd recommend getting some cushions or a blanket that you can run underneath your knees. So to start off with, we'll bring the toes together. So it's like a really wide child's pose, but think of a frog, okay? So with our knees are off the mat, try and make them off the mat. I'm sure you can. Big toes to touch. And if it feels comfortable, you can stay here or maybe come down onto the elbows. So we don't want to go right down like so just yet. Just keep up on those elbows. Now what we want to do is start to shift the hips forward. So start to rock forwards and see how my shoulders are over my elbows now. It's hard to work on the core. You can stay there, but we're not going to be working too hard today. So just bring the elbows almost under the shoulders, if not a little bit further in front. So this is a nice gentle frog pose. It might feel pretty intense for you. So don't let the belly drop down here. All right, we need to keep the belly engaged. We're squeezing the glutes a little bit to drop those hips down. So I want you to focus maybe at your hands in whatever position they're in. And notice that one spot on your hands, whether it's a nail, a piece of jewelry, so forth. Find your focal point here. Let everything else around that site go blurry. Keep the tummy lifting, bracing. Good. Okay, let's bring the hips up a little higher and back and bring the elbows back as well. Option to take it into a wide legged frog pose so the ankles come out. So just gently turn your feet out like so. Your hips still want to be stacked pretty much above the knees here. So if you're coming, forwards like that, don't worry, I'm not squashing baby. We're not going to get that stretch this time. So keep the hips pushing backwards this time. So it might feel a bit more intense. If it's too much, just take it back to that other one. Same deal, we want the elbows probably just in front of the shoulders or under them. So knees are still going out wide, but pushing the hips backwards towards the heels. Or just stacked on top of the knees, if that makes sense. So my knees and hips are in the same line. Let's stay here for about 30 more seconds. Really good for the inner thighs, for the hips. I'm sure you're feeling it. Probably one of my least favorite poses, I must say. I think it's just because it's so intense. Allowing your hips to sink down. Let's just take one more breath here. Keep the core active. Remember, don't let that belly button drop down. Keep it lifted, rib cage drawn in. Okay, to release, feel free to bring those toes back in a little bit. Come onto the hands if that helps, and just ease your way back in. Whew, it can feel quite strong. Okay, let's come into pigeon pose. So reach the hands in front of you. Exhale to downward facing dog. Meeting there first. And then we're going to sweep it into pigeon. So with your right leg, let's sweep it up high to a three-legged dog. And exhale, bring that right knee behind the right wrist. Bring the foot across the mat first. Drop it down. Drop the left knee down. And if you'll see my hips are quite high right now, I want you to walk that left leg further back. That's going to drop the hips down. Untuck that left foot behind you if that feels okay, better for the knee potentially. Take a moment, let the hips settle in. Good. Now, what we want to focus on today, rather than coming down, so often we come down onto the elbows, today what I want you to do is try and get that right foot a little bit higher. So you can manually just wriggle it up a little bit, be careful, nothing major. A little bit goes a long way. So you'll see how my foot is flexing. Rather than pointing it, which is probably what you normally do, we want to try and flex it. So even if it's just a little bit, it's going to take a little bit more work from the shin to hold it there. Keep the hips square facing down. So you'll notice I just leaned off to the side to talk to you. So find that form there. Keep on the hands or maybe the spider fingers if you want a little more lift. Now I feel like I can go a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to wriggle it a little bit higher again. Try and keep it there. It might slide back a little bit. Depends how grippy or slippery your mat is. Yeah, it feels good. So it should feel a lot more intense through that right glute area, okay? Hold that a little bit longer. Nearly done. This is a great one to really practice getting that foot higher up. So often we kind of just stick to our comfort zone, but we want to take it out of that a little bit. Okay, let's take one more breath, finish off our minute. Ground through the hands. We're going to sweep it straight back to downward dog. So do it gently. Feel free to point that right foot that's underneath you. Tuck your toes, inch yourself in a little bit, and then sweep it back, downward dog. Notice how that feels. And let's come to the other side. Inhale, let's lift that left heel to the ceiling, nearly forgetting. And then exhale, bring that left knee into the chest. Foot comes across, drop the knee down, and drop your right knee down as well. So inch that right hip down and lower using the help of your right foot there. Untuck the toes potentially. And then find your hips that are nice and square. So remember, we never want to lean off to this side and we never want to lean off to that side. Keep it square. So pointing down is what that means. So now we want to make sure that we focus on lifting that left foot a little higher. So you can just wriggle it up with your own muscles, which is probably preferred, to be honest. But I find that my foot slips back unless I lift it up into that position. So do what you think you can do. No ego, remember, just stepping slightly outside of that comfort zone. So grounding through the hands, maybe on the spider fingers. So noticing that left glute the most. However, because we're lifted through the chest, you might actually feel it through your right hip flexors as well. Both good things. Holding it here. So I feel like I can go a little deeper. Having all the pregnancy hormones, I do stretch a lot easier now. However, I do know my limit, so it's really important not to overstretch. About 30 more seconds here. So if you're maintaining your breath, about 3 long breaths. And letting go of that last breath. Rounding the hands properly. Tucking your right toes under, just shorten that step a little bit. And let's just come back to tabletop. So unthread that left leg, bring it all back in. Very good. So from here, we're actually going to come down onto your right hand side hip. So, yes, it'll be opposite to me actually. So come down onto your left hip if you want to mirror me. So we're going to come right down, but I want you to start to face the mat. So what that means is both elbows are going to come out to the side. Now if this is way too much depth in your twist, just straighten out your your left leg, okay? So this is where we start. We're going to rest the head, whether it's a cheek or the third eye, down onto your hands. If you don't feel like this is much of a twist, that's where you can bring those knees up, about parallel with your hips again, so about 90 degrees, think of something like that, and then come back into that twist. So to start off with, I'm going to rest my right cheek, which is going to be your left cheek, to the hands, and keep in mind we don't want to be off center like we're about to go to sleep. So we need the elbows pointing out to the left and to the right, okay, either side of your mat. Now if this is easy, you might like to rest your opposite cheek. So twisting around, looking behind you, holding that there. Find what suits you. Nice gentle twist here. And settle in for a little bit of stillness. So you might feel this in the chest a little bit. You might feel it in the back as a gentle twist and stretch. Maybe it just feels comfortable. If it's quite comfortable, you might like to try and deepen it by turning your gaze to that opposite direction. Okay, unthread your head if you are looking over to that opposite shoulder. Rest your left cheek back down. And we're going to come into a spinal twist here now. So stay where you are with the lower body, whether it's that one leg straight or not. I want you to stretch your left hand that's behind you out all the way. So palm facing down, ideally shoulder height. If you do have any shoulder troubles here, maybe just a little lower, be gentle with yourself. But everyone else, palm down, shoulder height. You're going to rest your cheek to the mat now. And your opposite hand, your right hand's going to be just in front of you, like so, in a bit of a tripod position. So from here, what we can do, remember, everyone's knees might be slightly different, but option here is to open up that top right knee and keep using this hand to push into the mat here. So this is going to help you really open up the chest. I'm trying to get all areas of the body briefly through this practice. If you want to take it a little further, which I'm sure some of you want to, wrap that arm up and around and reach it behind you. So for me today, it feels a little too much. So I'm going to bring it back. Just ground the hand and use that hand to help open up. Squeezing through that right glute to keep the knee up, pointing towards the ceiling. Foot is resting down to the mat. Keep in mind you can actually stay resting down here if that's preferred. Let's just take a couple more breaths. One more breath in through the nose. And out through the nose. Good. So if your hand's wrapped behind you, bring it back. Bring the knees back to stack into that fetal position. And you're going to roll back onto your belly here. So stretch out your legs, come back onto your belly. Feel free to switch sides. So if you want to, if your mat is the same direction as me, feel free to just flip on over and you can mirror me again. Otherwise, just roll on over. So what we're going to do, start with either legs in that fetal position or straighten out your bottom right leg. We're going to come down And this is called a bit of a crocodile arm position, okay? So widen those elbows out. Remember, left side and right side of the mat. Start by resting your right cheek down and lay here. So I feel like I need to bring my knees a little higher. I just feel like I'm sort of rolling a little too much over. So keep in mind you can have your legs slightly off center stacked as well. And that feels nice for me. So have a little play around, get comfortable. And over time we'll deepen that pose, maybe looking over to the other cheek if you feel ready to do that already. I certainly don't. Use your intuition here. What do you need right now? Nice big breath in and out. One more breath only. Actually, sorry, let's stay here a few more moments. We've got to even it out. Keep in mind that we're really trying to twist the torso here, so we are lying on our chest quite a bit. The deeper you twist, the more you're going to be lying on your chest. Okay, if you're looking behind you, let's bring it back. Rest there for a breath. And we're going to stretch out your right arm then. So just as we did on the other side, straighten it out. Move your legs as needed. You might need to stretch out that bottom leg. My hand is shoulder height behind me, so straight out like so, palm facing down. My left hand here is grounding into the mat, okay? So stay here if you like. Remember, you can have that bottom leg stretched out if that's a little gentler. Take your depth of the pose now, whether it's opening up that knee, or opening up that arm behind you, wrapping it around the back. Take whatever depth you like. No ego, just mindfulness of remaining slightly uncomfortable. Really good stretch for the chest here. I'm sure you can feel it, maybe through the shoulder as well. Just one more breath in and out. Good. Release the arm if it's behind you, release the knees back down together. And you're going to roll back onto your belly and rest there. So I won't be on my belly, but you guys can fully rest on your belly here. Take a moment. Good, and let's roll onto our back. So feel free to just thread yourself straight under, flip it over, and we're going to do one more pose, happy baby pose. So if you want to pop any socks or jumpers, feel free to grab that now, because then we're going to stretch out into Shavasana from there. So happy baby pose, we're going to hug the knees into the chest, and then we're going to reach for the ankles, or preferably the feet if you can. So lift up to the feet, reach and widen those feet towards the ceiling, pulling the hands against the feet or ankles firmly, so that we're really trying to bring the knees down. So rather than lift your tailbone off the ground, try and plant your bum to the mat, okay? Now this is going to be quite challenging, especially if you sort of have tight lower back and hamstrings here. Just be mindful. Great for the hips, hamstrings, inner thighs a bit. Feel free to rock your happy baby around. Head should be resting here. We're only going to be here for one more breath. Find stillness if you're still rocking. Bring the soles of the feet together for lying butterfly pose. And you can release the feet to the mat. So let's stretch out nice and long to our meditation. Lengthen the legs. Tuck the hips underneath you comfortably. Tuck the shoulder blades behind you. Rest the arms out wide if you can. If you like, you can rest them to the belly. Do what you feel called to do here. Encourage you to stay here lying down. Get yourself comfortable. Know that I'll be in a seated pose from now on, but I encourage you to stay exactly where you are. Take a nice long big breath in through the nose, just one big breath. Sigh out through the mouth. Good. And let yourself relax. The eyes closed. Bring just your focus internally now. Notice where you lie. Parts of your body are touching the mat. Parts of your body that are covered in clothes or blankets. And other parts that are exposed to the air around you. Notice all of these small details. Notice the sound of the singing bowl. Listen to all other sounds as well. Taking a nice big breath when you're ready. And letting it go. Notice where you lie. The fingers and the toes. Start to bring a little bit of movement into them. Start to roll the ankles and wrists. Maybe taking a big reach overhead. And hugging the knees into the chest. There, roll off to your side in that fetal position. Take a moment. And rise up into a seated position. And once you come on up, feel free to reach for that essential oil. Have some tea tree oil today. Just a little. Alright, let's take those 3 big breaths. When you're ready, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale. Exhale. big breath in. And let it go. Feel free to then open your eyes with your thumbs. Let's bring them up to rest at your third eye. With my thumbs at my third eye, my thoughts are pure and clear. With my thumbs to my lips, my speech is pure and clear. With my thumbs to my chest, my heart is pure and clear. Taking a moment of gratitude now. Thank you so much for joining me here for this bonus class. I will see you guys again soon. Namaste.